Ever wondered how websites react when you hover, click, or focus on elements? That's the magic of CSS Pseudo-Classes. With Pseudo-Classes, you can create hover effects, style form inputs, and target elements without adding extra HTML. In this video, you'll learn how to use hover, active, focus, and more. And the best part is, no JavaScript is needed. If you think hover is powerful, just wait until you see has. By the end of this video, you'll be able to create a light and dark theme toggle using only CSS Pseudo-Classes. No JavaScript needed. So let's get started. What are pseudo-classes? Pseudo-classes are keywords added to CSS selectors using a single colon that define a special state of an element. They let you style elements based on things like user interaction or state. The basic syntax looks like this: selector, pseudo-class, property, value. Let's start with a simple example. The hover pseudo-class is used to style an element when you move your mouse over it, like adding styles to a button on hover. If you use hover without targeting a specific element, it can affect the whole page, like the body. Next is active, which styles an element while it's being clicked. Here, I'm using transform scale 0.8 to create a press effect. Then, link is used to style links that haven't been visited yet. By default, they're blue, but here, I'm changing them to orange. Finally, visited is used to style links that have already been visited. By default, they're purple, but here, I'm changing them to yellow-green. Now let's learn about structural or position pseudo-classes. First, I'm creating feature cards with the class feat card. The first child pseudo-class selects the first child of a parent element, so I'm adding a 2-pixel solid orange border to the first card. It only works if the element is actually the first child inside its parent. Next is last child, which selects the last child of a parent element. Then nth-child 3 selects elements based on their position, so the third card gets highlighted. You can also use patterns with n, where n represents a sequence of numbers like 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. For example, 2n selects all even elements, and 2n plus 1 selects all odd elements. You can also use even and odd, which work the same way. Next is nth last child, which selects elements from the end, so 2 will highlight the second last card. Next, the only child pseudo-class selects an element only if it is the single child of its parent. It won't work when there are multiple children, so here I remove the extra elements to make it a single child, and then it gets selected. Now let's look at first of type. I'm using it with the P tag to increase the font size, so the first paragraph inside each parent appears bigger. The first of type pseudo-class selects the first element of its type inside a parent. Next is last of type, which works the same way but selects the last element of its type. If there's only one element of that type, both first of type and last of type will select it. Now let's use empty. This pseudo-class selects elements with no content inside them. For example, an empty div gets highlighted. If you add even a space, empty won't work because it counts as content. But once you remove the space, it works again. Here's a simple contact form, and to make it look modern, I'm styling the contact form. First, I use the focus pseudo-class to add a highlighted border and white background when an input is clicked or focused, so you can clearly see which field is active. Next, focus within works on the parent element, so when any input inside the form is focused, the entire form gets a border and shadow. Now let's look at invalid. In an email input, it shows a red border when the value is not valid. But by default, it also shows the error before you type anything. To fix this, I use not placeholder shown, which applies the style only after the user starts typing. This pseudo-class checks whether the placeholder is visible, not the placeholder text itself. Without it, the input shows an error even when empty, but with it, the error appears only after typing. Finally, the valid pseudo-class adds a green border when the input is correct, so invalid input shows red and valid input turns green. Now let's understand form-related pseudo-classes. First, we use the required attribute in HTML to make fields like full name and email mandatory. The required pseudo-class selects these fields, and here I'm adding a red border to show they must be filled. If you try to submit without filling them, the browser shows an error, and once you fill them correctly, the form works fine. Next is optional, which selects fields that are not required, so users can fill them if they want. The blank pseudo-class selects input fields that are empty, meaning no value is entered. Now, read-only is used for inputs that can't be edited. You can make an input read-only using the read-only attribute and remove it to make it editable again. Next is enabled and disabled. By default, inputs are enabled, meaning they can be used. The enabled pseudo-class targets active elements, while disabled targets elements that can't be used. You can disable an input or button using the disabled attribute and enable it again by removing it. The open pseudo-class is used with elements like details, and when it's open, you can apply different styles. Now, the checked pseudo-class is used for checkboxes or radio buttons when they are selected. Here, I'm changing the border and background when an option is checked, and also updating the label style. Some options can be checked by default using the checked attribute. Finally, when a checkbox is selected, I enable the Submit button and change the cursor to a pointer, making the form more interactive and user-friendly. Finally, let's create a light-dark theme toggle using pseudo-classes. First, I create a checkbox. When it's checked, dark mode turns on, and when it's unchecked, it turns off. Next, I style the theme toggle switch and build a switch button using the before pseudo-element. At first, the theme changes on click, but the toggle doesn't slide, so I add styles for the checked state to make the toggle track and the before element move smoothly. Then I use the root pseudo-class to define global CSS variables, setting light colors by default and switching to dark colors when the checkbox is checked. As you can see, the light-dark toggle works perfectly using only CSS pseudo-classes with no JavaScript needed.